Let's go. We have another fun interview tonight. Obviously, you guys see the poll question. We're going to talk about the LSU offensive and defensive coordinator. We say hi to Jared. What's up, Jared? 2 days before Christmas. Jared, good to see you, my friend. And obviously, last week we had Jeremy Hill on here. Today, I'm really excited about our guest, Van Lathan. And before we get to Van, I want to just say, guys, the support has been absolutely fantastic. Obviously, you guys saw the Matt House deep dive from yesterday. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Mike Denbrock. We're going to touch on anything and everything LSU football. And look, the bottom line is pretty simple. For me to keep doing these interviews, you guys got to keep supporting and let me know who you would like to see on here. And let me say this really quickly about Van Lathan. He is someone that has also supported the channel like a lot of you monetarily. This is a guy who has pretty much accomplished everything you can ask for in a media career. And obviously for me, Mr. Van Lathan is always rocking the LSU Tigers. Let's go, Van. Look at
it. Doesn't fit. Pomansky sent this to me. Shout out to Derek, man.
Deep palm.
Shout out to Derek. Pomansky sent this to me. This is as close as I'll ever get to strapping on a helmet and getting down in Tiger Stadium. So I love this is one of my prized possessions right here. I love LSU. Go Tigers.
And it's pretty interesting, right? Whenever we go through a coaching change, and you've been through a lot as an LSU fan, and a little bit later, Van, I think a lot of people like me in my early 30s, there is a hard cutoff of people 35 and older as an LSU fan because you do remember the 90s a little bit better than us youngins who have only been spoiled by the Saban years. So as far as this transition with Brian Kelly up to this point, how do you feel with where we are right now with how everything has been going?
So, first of all, thank you for having me. Trying to understand LSU football or college football when you have so many other things to be, concerned about is a big deal. It's something that you have to put a lot of time into. And when I stumbled across your channel, the passion that you have for LSU football, the way you can break down play-by-play things that are going on, trends that we're exhibiting on the field, things that we're doing right, things that we're doing wrong. It's been an amazing experience to be subscribed to the channel. I think you're the best. I think you have a brighter future than many people who are doing this, and I look to be a part of that future. So, I appreciate being on here with you today, Carter. So, look, this is my experience with coaching changes, having been around for as long as I've been watching the game. So, my mom went to LSU in the 70s. So I was brought up an LSU football fan. It's like part of it. And it was a part, in the 80s where we had some success. We were doing pretty good. And then in the 90s, as I was getting to understand football better, were some of the dark years of LSU football. Lasted all the way throughout my high school years to the very end when some guys around Baton Rouge I ended up actually knowing made their way to Nick Saban's LSU. Jerry DiNardo, for as much shit as he might get from people, actually had LSU playing pretty well for a little while. So whatever. Then Saban comes in and, we start the run that we're on now. Coaching changes for me now are more stressful than they were when I was first watching. Because it's a difference in hoping a coach will change your culture. And then hoping that a coach will either maintain it or reinvent it. When Saban came in, nobody expected that hire was hiring the greatest football coach in the history of the world. It was a guy who had some success at Michigan State. He was going to come and transform LSU, do whatever. But once he built the wall around Louisiana, once you saw him develop talent like Marcus Spears, like Michael Clayton, once you saw what was possible, now you don't want to go back. Right. And now it feels I am wrought with anxiety, anticipation, I am more dialed into LSU football now. I've made like part of my professional reputation. Like when I was on TMZ, the first year I was there, I dressed up as the LSU Tiger for Halloween. It was my first year at TMZ was the undefeated team that beat Alabama 9-6 and then lost the national championship game to them. So that entire run, part of my identity on television was massive LSU fans. So everybody that I meet knows that about me. They know it at the Ringer. They know it on social media. They know it anywhere. So if the team starts doing poorly, I take a lot of shots. Like I take a lot of crap if they start doing poorly. And it's like, oh, man, look what happened to LSU. Look what happened to LSU, whatever. So for me, not just from a pride standpoint, but just from it's the last thing in life that really, I'm from Baton Rouge. It's the last thing in life that being out in LA, it really connects me to home.
Really?
I watch them on Saturday and I feel like I'm back home again. It's part of a ritual that I adhere to really remind me of where I come from, man.
So this is interesting. I don't know what happened. For some reason, the stream just clicked on for a lot of people. Okay. So that's fine. I don't know. I don't think people are ready for all this energy, all this positive energy. They did not want to hear your great compliment of PHL. Right. Those are the haters out there. Those are the Bama fans trying to rot us with all these Keyshawn Butte rumors. So, before we get back into the early 90s, and before we get to learn more about you, Van Lathan, because my girlfriend was like, Carter, will you please ask him about the Kanye West movement or the moment, right? Yeah. We'll get into that a little bit later, okay? Mm-hmm. Because obviously you get asked about that everywhere you go. So we'll touch about, and we'll talk about the Oscar, just a little thing, just a little blip in your career.
You want to see it?
Well, you got the Oscar on you?
It's in the other room.
All right, we'll save that for a little bit later. So if you want to see Van Lathan's, if you want to see it a little bit later, we'll get to that.
All right.
So what's interesting, right? You still keep up with LSU football. There's still people in that building that you keep in contact with. There's still people in Baton Rouge that you keep in contact with, and of course, that helmet was sent to you by the binder himself, Derek Panamsky. It's one thing that's very interesting, Van, is when I look at LSU football, it is different for me, right? Early 30s. And now we are here where we are right now. The first thing I want to ask you is the one thing you said to me that has resonated with me was how much it hurt you at the time when you saw Warrick Dunn go to Florida State. You saw Cordell Stewart go to Colorado. And now you're kind of seeing the same thing with the new era LSU Tigers with this recruiting class. Do you think we're going to see more of that, or do you think this is just because of the coaching transition?
So I don't think it'll ever be like that again.
Really?
Not how it was in the 90s. It'll never be like that again.
Wow.
I remember saying to my father, I was like, yo, Louisiana is sorry in football. And my dad goes, no, we're not. We're better than almost anyone. and I'm like, well, what's the deal? He was like, they don't want to go up there and play on campus. And then, you talk about Warrick Dunn, but it wasn't just Warrick. It was Warrick Dunn, Major Applewhite, Neil Smith in the late 80s, guys that were starring in the league, Marshall Faulk. You know what I mean? Like all of these guys that were from Louisiana that didn't end up going to LSU. Now, I don't think LSU offered Marshall Faulk as a running back. I think they wanted to change position. So that might be one thing there. But, Kevin Falk was the guy who changed that. Amazing player at Karen Crow, decided to stay home and go to LSU. And that was one of the first guys that, said, hey, you could be the dopest dude and not end up in the ACC or the Pac-10 or whatever. So, yeah, it's important. But I don't think it'll ever be that way again because I think LSU has more of a national brand than they did now. People talk about how important the 19 team was in terms of just being out there for everyone and winning the national championship. I actually think that Burrow winning the Heisman was more important than even the national championship.
Interesting.
and the reason why I say that, and obviously Coach Orgeron and some of the guys over there, they squandered it a little bit, but having a player win the Heisman Trophy, having a Heisman Trophy winner, tells dynamic players that they can come to your school and have individual success. That it's not going to be 3 yards in a cloud of dust every single time our stingiest defense is going to do. That they can actually come to your school and go down in history as one of the greats of college football. And that's kind of what separated teams like Oklahoma or SC. They had glitz and they had glamour. And let's face it, that's kind of what the Heisman Trophy is. So to see that we had achieved not only national championships, which we had achieved before, but that we won our first Heisman Trophy since 1958 was very, very important. So I think LSU has a national brand now to where coaches know what they can do with the materials that we have. So it'll never be quite like that again, but we still have to fight for those top recruits that are going to be here in state.
What are your thoughts on name, image, and likeness now? Because this was something that just following you on Twitter prior was something that you're pretty passionate about. How do you feel everything as far as that is concerned is moving along, and how do you feel LSU is dealing with that right now?
So let me be honest about name, image, and likeness. I had a lot of conversations with Ed O'Bannon.
Interesting.
Over the years. Yeah, I used to interview him at TMZ and talk a lot about this. And me more than anybody wanted the players to get paid what they were worth and wanted them to not have to do all this stuff for free in a sport that was making so much money. Having said that, now that we are in the age of name, image, and likeness, it does feel different. It feels like a different sport. It feels like something other than the college football we've already got accustomed to. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a different thing right now. I didn't think it would be this different. Actually, Little Nicky, Evil Nick was actually pretty right about that. I think one thing LSU has to do is obviously catch up pretty massively. And when I say catch up, I mean it's all hands on deck LSU football for people who want us to be competitive. In order for us to get into this NIL battle, we have to be able to do that. We have to be able to get our kids on par with the Texas A&Ms and the Alabamas, the SCs and the Clemsons as far as that's concerned.
And you keep up with the other SEC schools as well, not as close as LSU. Obviously, Alabama's Alabama. We could talk about them all day. And like Jeremy Hill said last week, Elias Durant. But let me ask you: do you fear Texas A&M?
Sure. I mean, I'm an LSU football fan. I'm afraid of everything. I'm afraid of everybody who we don't get, and I'm afraid of even the players that we do get, that they won't be as good as we thought they were going to be. It's concerning, but I'm gonna be honest with you. As far as it goes with Texas A&M, they're gonna have to show me. Like, of course, if you bring in a class that good, they're gonna have some horses there that are ready to run.
Right.
But for Texas A&M to consistently dominate the SEC West, the SEC period, the national landscape, they're just going to have to show me. I ain't never seen it. So when we step on the field with, just like Damone Clark said, when we stepped on the field with them this past year, I knew we were going to win. Like, I don't have a lot of fear in my heart over Texas A&M. Maybe it changes. Maybe they do something and it changes. Maybe all this NIL stuff will work out for them. They have almost the most billionaires of any school, you know what I mean? So maybe that works for them, or maybe they continue being Texas A&M.
So bowl games coming up. You're going. It looks as if you're going to Houston. Looks as if I'm going to the H-Town party. My question for you is, obviously people are going to be listening to this interview a month from now, and hopefully LSU, with a walk-on quarterback or whoever is going to be playing quarterback, will have a bowl victory in hand. But I want you to make a bold prediction right now, Van. Are we even going to have this bowl game? Will LSU, once again, this isn't even really pandemic related. I just hope we have enough scholarship guys ready to go versus Kansas State with the opt-outs.
Look, we need to play in the bowl game.
Yeah.
We need to play in the bowl game. I don't know if you've ever seen a movie called Necessary Roughness, where Scott Bakula is the quarterback and they have to go get people just regular Joes that used to play and all kinds of stuff like that to field the team. I don't know what we're gonna have to do. Maybe sweep through there and see what we got. Offer a couple of guys that are kicking ass intramurally, whatever. We need to play in the game. So the reason why I think the bowl game is important is because I do believe that, we can and will win the bowl game. Okay.
Right.
And then also I think it's important for us to do something called a death rattle. All right. And for the people out there that are thinking LSU football is dead or that we're wounded, we need to show nationwide in bowl season that we're very much alive and that there is momentum going into Brian Kelly's era. I'll give you an example of this. There was a year, Saban's first year, I think. LSU did not have a fantastic season, but they had a season that was good enough that I think they might have played in the Peach Bowl. I can't remember what bowl game it was, right? But they played in the game and they won. And just seeing LSU win a bowl game, seeing them in prime time on ESPN. I know they play on ESPN every Saturday night. I know they play on CBS, but people who don't typically watch LSU football, seeing LSU football win a game, it's just important to send the kids off with some sense of postseason success. And so to me, I think it's important that we play in the bowl game. I think it's important that we win the bowl game.
Jay Hill in the chat. We also welcome Josh and Tony. Welcome in. Jay Hill in the hizzy, baby. Once again, I'm loving these interviews. And, here's something, Van, that I respect the heck out of you is all the interviews that you've done with people. So we're going to talk about all your great interviews a little bit later. And look, I want to get your thoughts on this quarterback redshirting situation right now with Garrett Nussmeier. Should he just burn it and play, or do you think Jontre is going to play quarterback for this one?
Probably going to be Jontre. I don't think he should burn. I would like for him to burn the red shirt, but I don't think that he should. I think his red shirt is going to be a little bit more important now that there's more stability at quarterback. So he's not starting next year. Myles Brennan is going to start next year. Okay. I don't think there's a very good chance that Nuss beats out Myles Brennan. Do you?
Really? No, I don't. I think for me, Van, with the Nuss, look, I will say this. There are a lot of people close to Nuss that have become big fans of the channel. And I've said this to each and every one of them, right? My analysis stays the same. And I've always felt Nuss is always a year two, more likely year three guy. And I do feel Myles would be the better option for right now, especially considering the 3 games that he had. Sure. Now, as far as you're concerned, there's questions, should LSU go get another quarterback in the portal right now because of Myles's injury history? But Van, it just – I have a tough time believing any quarterback is gung-ho to join a quarterback room that already has 3 people in that room. So I guess Myles is just going to be our guy next year.
Yeah, I definitely think Myles is going to be our guy next year. I think, to be honest with you, I don't think, Jeremy, I don't think that that Myles comes back to LSU without some sort of assurance that the job was his to lose.
Right.
Not a guarantee, because I don't think that's Brian Kelly's style, but at least assurances that the job was his to lose. So I say that to say that because you have Myles coming back, he's probably going to start next year. You have Walker Howard coming, who's probably going to sit next year and then go into a competition with Nussmeier the next year. If you're Nussmeier and you do need to transfer, you want your redshirt year. Like if you're Nussmeier and you're not going to win the job, and he's going to jump in the portal at some point, you're not going to want to burn your red shirt because you're going to want to have as much eligibility as possible when you get up out of here.
So this is where I push back on you.
Sure, let's do it.
Because that red shirt year is going to be next year when you're going to be sitting out anyway, right?
Right.
Win the job now, right? Win the locker room now. Max Johnson. Okay, look. Max Johnson, who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Do you know how much goodwill he bought up with the 2-0 start at the end of the season?
Sure.
He won the locker room then, right? It changes everything. Here's a good example, okay?
Give it to me.
I understand Jay Hill is not our interview for this week, but you can ask him this after the Outback Bowl, because I remember being told this when Anthony Jennings won that Outback Bowl, even though all he had to do was hand the ball to 33 and hit Odell every now and then. How hard is that? Do you know how much goodwill Anthony Jennings bought in that locker room just from those two performances? The Arkansas 99-yard drive where Jarvis was the one who actually saved the day. And then obviously the next week when Jay Hill goes ham, Anthony Jennings won the locker room, even though he was not all that great. So if you're Garrett Nussmeier, win that locker room now, and you would go a long way to go into the next season.
Nuss could throw for 400 yards and 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns in the Texas Bowl. He ain't starting next year.
He could.
I don't think it's very likely that he starts next year. I think a fifth-year senior, I think barring injury, Nuss is not going to start. I think a fifth-year senior comes out who got a great arm, he's got all the stuff going for him. I think he is LSU starter quarterback, barring something really or unforeseen happening. I think that's the way that goes. But look, to your point, if it were me, I want to play.
Right.
If it were me, I'd
go play. Don't overthink it. Go play.
If it were me, I'll tell you what I would do. I know Nuss likes a little bit of this. You know what I mean? I know Nuss is a gunslinger. I know that's what he likes to do.
Yeah.
In a game that is really sort of inconsequential, go out there and let your freak flag fly.
Right.
Toss the pigskin around. Do your thing. Build some chemistry. But I just think as far as his football career is concerned, I don't think him nor his family wants him to burn his red shirt, and I don't think that he will.
So Jay Hill right here, this is just one of the best comments. Anthony, I can't even get through this. Without laughing. Anthony was walking around town like he won the Heisman. Hashtag, Hashtag not so fast, my friend.
Yeah. I have a question for Jeremy Hill. If Jeremy can hear me real quick, just real quick for you, Jeremy. Jeremy went to Redemptorist, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. There was a back at Redemptorist. I want to say like 04, 03. He was ridiculously good. I know that's a little bit earlier than Jeremy would have been there. He was super dope. He played basketball for him too. Another guy that they had at Redemptorist, he was this guy's backup. That backup's name was Robert Johnson. I remember him. But I can't remember who the starter was. We used to go there. We used to go to Redemptorist games, me and my cousin, and watch this dude cut up. And now I can't remember his name, but he was running back for Redemptorist, like Jay Lucas.
Jay Lucas.
It was Jay Lucas. It was definitely Jay Lucas because he ended up going to Texas A&M or something like that.
What?
It was definitely Jay Lucas.
Let's go to Desmond here. Is Van answering non-LSU questions? Of course.
Yeah,
I love that he reps BR. Mentioning TJ from Perfect 10 parties on Higher Learning was a real shout out there.
Yeah.
What is that a reference to? I have no idea.
Oh my God, Carter, let me put you on game. So in like the early 2000s, a guy that went to McKinley with me. I went to McKinley High in Baton Rouge.
Okay.
He's a couple years older than me. His name is Terrence Jackson. Ended up going on to be the drum major at Southern University, which was just the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Wow. Jackson and him, my boy Gino McLaughlin brother, his brother Michael, and another guy started this thing called Perfect 10 Productions. It was because they were all in fraternities, and all of their line numbers were 10. And they used to have parties at this place on Tuesday night in Baton Rouge called the Nightlife. It was in that little, off corporate where the city place theater is.
Right.
It's like a little, if you right over there used to be a little club. We were going there, and the biggest things in the world would be the Perfect 10 parties. And they started off every Tuesday night at the Nightlife, and then after that, it was like after a Southern homecoming, after like a big LSU game, after a big deal. It was a huge Perfect 10 party. It was the biggest thing in Baton Rouge. TJ, we're still real cool now. And so sometimes I just talk about getting fly for Perfect 10 parties when I'm out here on this nationwide stuff. By the way, I'll tell that guy one more thing. I don't think there's any place better than Baton Rouge. So I'm not one of these people that moves to LA and goes, yo, everything in LA is better than it is in Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge is an amazing place. I have so much fun there. I love my culture. I love my state. So I'm going to rep it wherever I go.
Special thanks to Jared, our first super chat of the night. And Jared's question, what's higher learning? It is none other than Van Lathan's fast-growing podcast with the unbelievable Rachel Lindsay on the Ringer Network. So there you go. We'll talk more about that a little bit later, Van. I'm going to let you answer this question here from James.
Sure.
Not why anyone is pushing Nussmeier. It's not like he was lighting it up when given the chance this year. You know what? I actually do agree with this, Van, to a certain degree. So before I give you what I think of Nuss on tape, I'm going to let you share your thoughts on what you saw from Nussmeier in the extremely small sample that we got to see from him this year.
Excellent arm talent. Absolutely zero command over the playbook.
Right.
He can make every single throw, but he didn't even get a chance to make every single throw because he couldn't really throw on time. And it didn't seem like he had any chemistry with any of the receivers out there, which was expected because he wasn't taking first team reps very much. He probably wasn't getting the lion's share of the work. The only reason why he even got to a chance to ball was because the regression from Max Johnson was literally Jordan Jefferson-esque.
Oh, God.
Jordan Jefferson. Love Jordan Jefferson. Think he's a great guy, great Tiger. Played valiantly for LSU, but he started off really awesome, and then he went backwards. The point is that there wasn't the infrastructure at LSU this season to make Nuss comfortable enough. We didn't have enough creativity on offense. We didn't have enough rhythm in our offense. We didn't have a stable enough offense for someone to come in that needed a little help from the play calling and needed a little bit of help from his receivers and from his running game in order for him to be successful. And if we had that, to be honest with you, you probably wouldn't have even needed Nuss because Max Johnson would have probably been more successful. So I wasn't impressed with Nuss, but it wasn't his fault at all. I think he could be a perfectly good quarterback given the right situation.
Yeah, and James, this is a really good question, right? So this is what I saw from Nuss on film in high school. This is crazy, right? And Van, you and I were talking about this privately for a long period of time the other day. Look, I love Garrett Nussmeier on film. He had the highest completion percentage of any LSU high school quarterback in their senior year. Okay. That's wild. That is absolutely wild. The second thing is his ceiling is ridiculous. His arm talent is really special, but he's not an elite athlete with his speed, as in his actual mobility. So when you actually look at his high school tape, he doesn't throw a lot of throws on time and in the pocket and within the framework of the play. And before you start doing Aaron Rodgers type stuff, you got to master the basic stuff each level you move up. And, you could kind of see that with Nuss in college in the little bit of sample that we saw, where he would just stick on the first read and just stick with it and just throw it, or dance around and not run and take a simple 5-yard gain and try and make the absolute perfect completion. So those are things that, this is part of the reason why I really want him to play in the bowl game, because a lot of his weaknesses comes down to actual learning how to do things within the speed of the game. And that's something you can't really work on in practice. Let's go to Desmond with the super chat. I always wanted to ask you this question. Did you or Jamel Hill invite Bomani Jones to the Way Down in the Hole podcast? He needed to be on the episode when y'all reviewed Stringer Bell being killed. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. I'm kidding.
So Desmond, let me tell you why we didn't. Shout out to Bo. Bo is a homie of mine too.
Yeah.
Let me tell you why we didn't. The reason why we didn't was because I didn't need more Stringer Bell hate. We didn't need more Stringer Bell hate in the episode that he died in any more than what Jamel could give. It would have been too much on Stringer in the episode that he was killed to have the number one Stringer Bell hater in the world, Bomani Jones, along with the number 1A Stringer Bell hater in the world, who is, of course, Jamel Hill. So we thought a little bit too much Stringer Bell, but really every time we did that Stringer Bell segment, he was there with us in spirit. Shout out to Bo, one of the smartest guys working.
That is very interesting. So this is what I want to ask you, right? And it involves Bomani Jones. Mm-hmm. You work in the national media, okay?
Right.
As in, you worked for obviously TMZ. Now you're with The Ringer, and
right.
You move from Baton Rouge and then you go to LA, right? Yeah. I got to spend a week in LA, and it's just so different in so many different ways, right?
Sure.
So let me ask you this question. Now that you're in the national media, do you think, because this is just a narrative that's always out there about the national media, that they have it out for LSU, right? Do you believe that? Do you?
Yeah.
How do you do?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Why?
Hell yeah.
I'm curious why.
Louisiana, we're party crashers. We're a state that's not like really any other state. We're unique. We have our own culture. We essentially have our own language. We have everywhere else it's counties. We have parishes. We're unique. Like, we're more passionate about things. I can tell you one thing right now is that the fan base, there are three reasons. The fan base, okay, the football, and Tiger Stadium. The fact that Tiger Stadium is far and away, in most people's opinion, the gold standard of tailgating. We party different. We do things differently. Everywhere else we go, and to be honest with you, sometimes we're snobs about it. Like, I'll go, people will ask me to come to SC tailgates, and I'm like, why would I come to an SC tailgate? To watch you guys play bags and eat undercooked nachos? Like, I'm not coming out there to do that. I like where I tailgate, it's a real tailgate. Another thing is, in Louisiana, we know that our culture is, superior to a lot of places. We have real spice in our existence. We have real spice in our food. We come from, and we carry ourselves like that. We talk our shit. We talk our crap. Sorry for cursing, but that's what we do. And we talk about LSU like they're 11-0 when they're 1-11. And we think we should be 11-0 every single year. And it's that sense of confidence and pride in one's culture and certainty in one's culture that rubs other people the wrong way when I go places sometimes. Like, I'll be out here in LA, and they'll talk about how great LA is and how thankful I must be to live in the great cathedral that is Los Angeles over Baton Rouge. I'd be like, not really. Y'all ain't got no good gumbo out here. Not really. I can't go fish out here. Like, I fish out here. You got to go fish up in a mountain somewhere. Can't catch no sac-a-lay. You know what I mean? It's like, and we just know that we got our thing. It's a special thing. I think sometimes, like, look at Ryan Clark and look at my man, Marcus Spears.
Swagoo.
Look at how they carry themselves when they're out there. Look at what they bring. Look at the swag they have. Look at how different they are. That power that they bring, that Southern Louisiana thing, it's challenging to people who don't have that, right? It's challenging to them. And so they don't like it. And I think LSU embodies that. And I think, to be honest with you, just the whole ambiance of it, we say we're the best. And by the way, you come down to LSU, we are very, very giving. We love you.
Right.
We'll feed you. We'll drink with you. But we want to send you home with a boot in your butt. So you remember that the best place that you can party and the best place you can watch football is right there in South Baton Rouge.
So Haley wants to know, are we going to be Bama next year? Yes, of course. Yeah. Let's go to Jay Hill. I was going to save this for a little bit later. I promise we'll get back into LSU football. I was going to say, because Van, this is a question. So full disclosure, you and I have just become friends this past month, and you can attest to this. I've never asked you about the Kanye West thing, even though my girlfriend has begged me to bring it up to you. Van, let me add, before. The reason why I'm bringing it up now is because Jay Hill was very gracious with this time last week. This is what everyone wants to know about you, man, the Kanye West thing. So my first question for you is, everywhere you go, do people ask you about it?
Yep.
Okay. I just knew it. That's why I never brought it up.
Because I don't care about it. It doesn't bother me to bring it up, but literally some of the most famous people in the world.
Some of those famous people in the world hit you up and ask you this question.
Some of the most famous people in the world. Like it was. I got Reese Witherspoon following me on Twitter. You know what I mean? Rihanna follows me on Instagram. Like, I'm serious. You know what I mean? I shoot DMs back and forth with Rihanna. No bullshit. Like it was a moment to people. And by the way, they know him. And she's the homie. It's like not DMs like that. Like she's the homie.
Yeah, she was, yeah.
But like
professional. Yeah.
Of course. Lovely lady, very, very lovely lady, and very, very down for the culture. But like, yeah, it was a phenomenal moment, like in pop culture history, and I got a chance to be a part of it.
Okay, so is Kanye as cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs as he seems from afar?
So with respect to those who deal with issues, I wouldn't say that he's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. What I would say is that there's no possible way Ye can see the world in a regular way and be who he is, right?
Right.
And I think sometimes with people who are that gifted and whose brains are that abstract, what they really need are guardrails. Like, people need people, Carter, right?
Right.
And like, just as a guy like Jeremy is a fantastic football prodigy,
right?
And then he needs people to help him stay on that track so he can get to LSU and then get to Cincinnati and do all those things. Guys like Kanye West need to be grounded around people who understand how much wattage he's pulling out of a room, you know, and how he can refill that and do all of that stuff. And I think, not to be disrespectful or crass, but after the passing of his mother, there were a different group of people in Kanye's life. And I think that those people didn't have as intimate a knowledge as intimate a knowledge of how to keep him centered as other people did.
Right.
So not absolving him for some of the problematic, hurtful, and crazy things that he said, but I'm just saying that like everyone else, our brother Kanye needs a little help. So, you know, it's touch and go no matter what.
So when it happened, right? So for those that don't know, let's walk them through. So I'll let you tell the story, Van, as far as, you know, the TMZ Kanye stuff.
Oh yeah. So one day I'm at TMZ, you know, and I'm doing my thing. The morning show has just ended because we do 3 shows a day at TMZ. I used to, at least. I would do TMZ Live, and the TMZ Sports. So one day TMZ, which we do at 6 o'clock in the morning, which they do at 6 o'clock in the morning, is over. And Harvey comes up to me and Harvey goes, Kanye West is coming. And I was like, coming where? He's like, he's coming here to talk to us. It's like, why? And he was like, he still got the album coming out. I went and hung out with him, and and he wants to come and talk with me and Charles. And I'm like, all right, cool. And he goes, I've been the #1 Kanye West defender on TMZ. The #1 guy. They knew that he was my favorite rapper of all time. I was his biggest fan. So he goes, we're going to have mics muted at first just so me and Charles could talk to him, but I'm just letting you know, we will open up the mics later on so that you can ask him questions or whatever. And I was like, I'm not tripping. At this point, I was so fed up with Ye that I was like, I'm not even tripping. I'm like, y'all do whatever y'all want to do. I'll be at my desk doing the same thing I always do. So he comes in. He's with Candace Owens. He comes in, super polite, says hello to everyone, talks to everybody. Very engaging guy, almost a gentle nature when the cameras weren't on. Okay. I'm at my desk actually watching his interview that he had done with another friend of mine, Charlamagne the God. And,
yeah. Wow, that's cool. That's cool.
That's my man. Me and Charlamagne just came from we were just on vacation.
Cool.
One of my closest friends. So I'm watching Charlamagne and Kanye's interview. It's pretty good. And Kanye's talking, he's doing his thing, he's yelling at points. I'm really not paying any attention. He says, the now classic line, he goes, we were slaves for 400 years. Slavery for 400 years, and it was all of us? That seems like a choice to me. I go, interesting. Huh. I don't say anything at that point. I heard it, but I don't say anything. He actually said something else that was cut out of the interview, which had that stayed in the interview, we wouldn't be talking about Kanye West today. So I'm not going to repeat it.
Okay.
But he said something else that had it not been edited out, certain people made certain calls to make sure that didn't go on television. Had that gone on television, we wouldn't be having a Kanye West discussion today. Or the Kanye West discussion that we're having would have been happening after several apologies. He'd have to go around to all kinds of different people and apologize, and it would have been a huge, huge deal had that been left in. But anyway, they took that out and they left him dissing my ancestors in, go figure. So he then turns around and he goes, do you feel like I'm thinking freely? And that's what people sometimes forget when we talk about this moment. He said, do you feel like I'm speaking freely? He asked. I didn't jump up and interview and disrupt Kanye West's interview. I didn't jump up and interject myself into his conversation with Harvey and Charles. He stood up, turned around, looked at the entire office, and asked a question. Does it feel like I'm speaking freely right now? And he was talking directly to us. Everyone else felt the same way that I did, but nobody else wanted to say anything. And I simply answered his question. And the answer that I had in the moment for Kanye West had to do not only with feelings I was feeling in the moment, but feelings I had felt prior to that moment based upon some of the things he had been saying and doing. So it came off pretty well. I didn't stumble with it. And my life changed after that.
It's crazy. And now you're at the Ringer, and I listened to your conversation. Well, actually, I do have to follow up. Has Kanye said anything to you since?
Of course.
Really?
Yeah, we spoke that night. He called me that night. He called me that night. We exchanged emails all summer long.
Wow.
If I see him out, it's what's up. It's no big deal.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And here's what a lot of people would want to know from your vantage point, right? So I got a few texts from viewers like, really, this guy you have on talks to Rihanna and Reese Witherspoon? Obviously, my girlfriend freaked out about that because Legally Blonde. Are you kidding me? What's it like to talk to A-list celebrities? Do you talk to them like normal people, or is it different?
So Reese Witherspoon follows me. I actually had sent her a DM when I wanted her to watch the short that we won the Oscar for.
Okay.
And she's a very busy person, so I'm sure she didn't see it. But after we won the Oscar, she actually ended up hitting me back and going, "You did a great thing, congratulations," and all of that stuff like that. With anybody else who started, because literally I went from 25,000 followers on Twitter before the Kanye thing. In 3 days, I had 280,000 followers.
Wow.
And then, now I'm at about 500,000. So I guess I say that to say that there were people who saw that, and I didn't even notice that it was happening because things were going so crazy. Like, somebody at TMZ was like, "Hey, I don't know if you know, but Rihanna's following you now."
Wow, that's just so crazy.
And so then I was like, "For real?" They were like, "Yeah." So I just sent her a DM, and she's just like super fucking cool, like a great person, like super cool. Talk to me like a great person, and and to be honest with you, at the point that I'm at in my career now, if I shoot somebody a DM, if they see it, they answer me. You know what I'm saying? Especially like in the culture. That's like how I get like a lot of the interviews that we do for the podcast and stuff.
Right.
Know a lot of people. If I shoot somebody a DM, they'll normally answer. But the moment meant a lot to a lot of people, and a lot of the people talk about Hollywood. They talk about the industry. They talk about how fake everybody is. But a lot of these people are more solid than you would think that they are, and they're deeper in feelings and thoughts than you would think that they are. And sometimes we just be kicking it and talking.
So this is a follow-up to the national media thing, right? So I know the answer to this. You and Ryan Russillo are friends.
It's my man.
This would be my follow-up to, our poll question here. Does the national media hate LSU, right? And a lot of people say yes. 91% says yes. I do agree there's a disdain because I honestly do agree with you, Van. They hate us because they ain't us, right? No team has the culture, right, that LSU has. It's different, right? I had something really cool. I do want to shout out a viewer, Yusha. He sent me an Italian soccer jersey, legendary soccer player Giorgio Canaglia today. That changed my life. That I got that in the mail. I got a message from like a package from Europe. I was like, that's cool. So Yusha in Ukraine told me, "Hey, Carter, I became an LSU fan because LSU's cool. The colors, the attitude, the swagger." I think there is, Van, because other programs, while they do have great tailgating,
right,
and they do have good things, it is different. And you see some people that really do like college football, like Scott Van Pelt loves some LSU football. Ryan Russillo's a national media member. Another guy that you're familiar with, PFT and Big Cat.
Love my guys, yeah.
Do people hate LSU? Yes. Some of it's the off the field stuff. Some of it is, they wish they could be us. But there's also a lot of people like SVP, like PFT and Big Cat that wear LSU stuff and have the LSU helmets in sight. I do feel that there are some people in the media, like a Ryan Russillo, who loves LSU.
There definitely are. And Russillo is like somebody that doesn't just love LSU, but like comes in game, is invested in Baton Rouge culture. He gets it. You know what I mean? But I'll give you an example of something. I actually brought this up to one of those guys when I ran into him. Years and years ago, I was watching Pardon the Interruption, Wilbon Kornheiser. And they were talking about USC. They were talking about the fact that SC won 2 straight national championships or something like that. And the fact that they had gotten flack from LSU people that said, "Hey, they split a national championship with us." And I remember Kornheiser and Wilbon saying, nobody outside of Baton Rouge remembers that LSU won the national championship in 2000.
Oh, my God.
And it's stuff like that I'm talking about.
Right.
Now, if we re-examine SC's run, I could make an argument that they're not nearly as dominant as they get credit for. I can make that argument, but that's not what we're talking about right now, right? I can make an argument that SC, they split one national championship, they won one, and then they got waxed in a game that everybody thought they were going to win, and they basically lost the home game to a team that came in and put it on them. And not just that, because that was a fantastic performance by Vince Young, but they were down to Fresno State that year. They were down to Arizona State that year.
Right.
They that same season, I think I talked about this on Bill's podcast. They they all had a one position game with Notre Dame, whatever. But it's stuff like that. It's stuff that when you go up against Oklahoma and Jason White and you shut them down with defense, you grind their bones to dirt. You know what I mean? And you still don't get the credit that you deserve.
Right.
You still don't get what you deserve. When you look at the 19 team, that wasn't just great. They were basically perfect.
Perfect.
And I still got to go back and forth with people about squads from other years, stuff like that. We just get it done. So, yeah, I mean, maybe I'm looking at the world in purple and gold colored glasses, but I think there's a little bit of distaste for the way we do it. And also, our blood sometimes isn't quite blue enough for everybody else. We are like upstarts, you know? So that's what I would say.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Swagoo and the other three guys just, you know, really changed a lot. Let's go to Daniel. So someone like Van Lathan should be teaching our athletic program how to run our NIL program and use it to benefit our program. Europeans, Aussie love LSU, Bourbon Bowl, Water Boy. Yeah, it's true, Daniel.
That is true.
Yeah, look, so we touched on NIL a little bit earlier. I will say this, Van, right? I do think we're going to see in college football a change in allocation of resources where more money goes towards NIL stuff instead of things like facilities. And we're going to name this statue that nobody ever walks by after you, even though LSU statues are pretty. I'm just using a hypothetical. I do think our NIL program could be better. I do think, you know, our resources could be better, but also, Van, you know, we're going through a change right now with BK.
Yeah, we're gonna get the NIL stuff right. We are. We're gonna get the NIL stuff right. We're gonna pull recruits from places we didn't think we were gonna get recruits before. We're going to be fine. The one thing I enjoy about the fan base, and I go on Tiger Tropics all the time, even though I should.
No, I like Tiger.
Even though I should, I go on Tiger Tropics all the time. I check Tiger Tropics 2-3 times a day just to check the pulse.
2 to 3 times a day.
Oh, sometimes more. Like Carter, you don't understand, bro. Like
people don't get it, right? This is the thing that so you do all this national media stuff, and Rihanna's hitting up your DMs. You know, people are wanting to hang out with Van Lathan. I could see it now. I could see Drake saying, "Look, Van, I got courtside seats to the Raptors game. I'll fly you up," and you're gonna be like, "No, I gotta watch Chubby Bruno Mars on Power Hour LSU talk about the backup left tackle." That actually is you in your heart. That is you.
I've never been invited anywhere. Drake is Drake. But like is I wake up, bro. Like seriously, I wake up, I watch whatever you have. YouTube tells me whatever you have. I watch whatever you have. Then I watch Moscona. You found it, the best place on the internet for all the content. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so like I watch Moscona, and then I might get into to T-Bob and Hester a little bit, but
and Hunting Hill. Got to shout out J Hill.
Oh, I love Hunting Hill.
Hunting Hill, baby.
Hunting Hill was my post game fix though. Like so, what I would do for Hunting Hill is that so. For you, I would like literally spend Sunday, like I would miss NFL games just watching what you had streamed on the game.
Oh, cool! Wow.
I would she would be in here watching football, and I would be back there, literally in the room with Bozeman watching the full 2 hour and a half, whatever it was, breakdown of the game. I watched it like every single thing. That's the way I first discovered you. I was like, look at this guy giving me all this insight to LSU football. This is a gold mine. I'm telling you. Like,
appreciate that.
It's gonna get even bigger for you, bro. You're great at what you do.
We're gonna take it to the next level.
But so, you know, and then on top of that, I'll check the Tiger Droppings recruiting.
Yeah.
I'll look at the SEC rant. I look all over the place. I can't get enough information on LSU.
Simper, what's good, man? Simper looks different tonight. I like the cowboy hat there, Simper. I see that's the change there. No, that's Simper's lovely wife. Good to have you in here.
Is there beef with AFR? What's going on?
Okay, so here's the thing, right? Simper always brings his drama with other shows into my chat, and I don't have it. So quit asking. That's Jay Hill's favorite quote of all time. I'll say this, okay? I hate that Maria Taylor was on the wrong end of that. Have it be some other sideline reporter instead of Maria Taylor on the other end of the Nick Saban. So quit asking. Maria Gorgeous Taylor just standing there, one of the best sideline reporters on the planet Earth, asking just the simple questions, and Saban unleashes wrath.
Right.
Okay? Do it to someone like Tom Rinaldi, right? Do it to someone else, not Maria Taylor. Shout out to Trey.
Not on Maria, yeah.
Shout out to Trey here. Glad to hear Van Lathan checks TD a few times a day. So basically, Trey's in Rihanna's DMs as well. There you go, Trey.
Go, Trey.
I could see a lot of PHLers shooting their shot tonight, and Rihanna like, hey, Riri, your guy Van was on PHL.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Really, don't do that.
Okay, so Van, I gotta get your opinion on this, right?
Sure.
So Danielle, who is a lovely PHL supporter, she's always in here, all right? And guys shoot their shot at women in the chat. It could just be any, if a woman comes to the chat, everybody shoots her shot, right?
Uh-huh.
I don't know why. I mean, I didn't think a college football YouTube channel would be the place where you would find love. So I don't know if I should keep letting it happen, or what do you think I should do about this?
As long as they do it in a gentlemanly way.
Exactly.
As long as it's gangster, because I know why they do it.
Why?
They do it because if she's in the chat of an LSU show, you got to snap her up. Like, yeah. Danny Don is also excellent. You like Danny, shout out to Danny Don. You got to snap her up. Like, I remember when I first got with Kalika, I was like, hey, just to let you know, on Saturdays, I like to watch college football.
Right.
Just putting it out there. So if you want to do anything Saturday, it's going to depend on, like, what's happening. If there's a night game at LSU, we can't go to the movies at night. We got to do something different. You know, it's LA, so we can go maybe after. And then she looks and she goes, so when you say you like to watch college football on Saturday, you mean you want to watch all the games? And I'm like, yeah. I wake up. It starts at 9 here in California. I wake up at 9. I wake up at 8.
That's so sweet.
Whatever. Sweet. It starts at 9. I watch all the early stuff. I watch the midday stuff. At this point, I got a couple of TVs, but then I got also a game that I might need to watch on my phone. You know, and we had coaches to hire. So every time I would hear a coach, every time I would hear you mention a coach,
right,
I would then have to watch their game the next week to see how they were calling plays. So if you can find a woman that understands that, you got to take your shot.
Yeah, you got to take your shot, man. A lot of the guys in here that are thirsty aren't in here tonight, so that's a good thing. You know what's interesting, Van? I wanted to bring this up because you do live in LA, right? Sure. And a lot of LSU fans got to experience it going to the UCLA Rose Bowl. Obviously, the game wasn't where it needed to be. Now, let's put you in the seat of Lincoln Riley. Okay, what would you have done? And look, you live in LA. And I heard you on Bill Simmons' podcast talk about USC. We just touched on USC. If you're Lincoln Riley, which job would you have taken?
It depends, right?
Yeah.
It depends on what you want. Now, I'm not going to act like I love Louisiana because I was brought up there. But most people are going to choose to live in Los Angeles if they have the choice. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Even now, over Baton Rouge.
Yeah, bro. Like most people. I wouldn't. I'm looking forward to the day to where I can have a home in Baton Rouge. I mean, I'm not gonna ever move out of LA, but I would.
Right.
But I'm looking forward to the day where I can have a home in Baton Rouge. Actually, I already do have a home in Baton Rouge, and like have my kids, have kids down there and have them stay there for summers and go out to Maringouin, New Roads, where my people are from. Grove State, Rosedale, all of those places, and just be around Bachelor, all of those places like that. But there's a place where the USC coaches live. Okay. This place is called Palos Verdes. See, they don't live in Beverly Hills. They don't live in Hancock Park. A lot of them, they live in Palos Verdes. Palos Verdes is way down in the South Bay. All right. It's past Redondo Beach. You're right, Jerry Zimmerman. It's past Redondo Beach. It is up on a cliff, and it outlooks the ocean, and you can literally see the curvature of the coast from Palos Verdes all the way to Malibu. It is absolutely gorgeous.
Interesting.
And the lifestyle that you can have there is a lot different. Now, if you're asking me, what I would have done is it depends on what kind of guy Lincoln Riley is. If Lincoln Riley thinks I can be the best of the best, and when it's all said and done, I want people to think of me as one of the greatest coaches in college football history, then it's no brainer. You take the LSU job. But if Lincoln Riley says, I want a place where people have been eating Kraft cheese for so long that all you got to do is give them a little hint of Velveeta and they'll worship you forever. and you get to go to a couple of movie premieres, then you go to SC.
Oh, man.
I personally, with the facilities and the capability and everything that LSU has, and what that means, especially for a guy who might want to be an NFL guy one day, I don't see how you don't take the LSU job. But I'm happy that he didn't, because I think he's too soft for the conference anyway.
So I agree. Like,
actually, let me say that. I'm happy now. I wanted him badly. I wanted him badly. Like now that he did what he did, I'm happy that he did, because he wasn't the right fit anyway.
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie. The one thing that I learned from doing this channel is I made a lot of people believers into Lincoln Riley, because I really hammered it from the day one.
You made me a believer.
Oh yeah, I was.
You called me up during the Ohio State. So check this out. I'll tell you what Carter did. I thought Carter was working for Lincoln Riley. He hit me up. He hit me up when Ohio State was straight massacring Michigan State. And he was like, yo, do you see what they're doing? We have got to go get an offensive coach, Lincoln Riley. Because I was a little bit on Dave Aranda at that point. So he was like, we have to go get Lincoln Riley. And I was like, damn. And you got me all excited for Lincoln Riley. I was Lincoln Riley. And then Lincoln Riley screwed over us.
Yeah. Well, let me go on in and say this. I got to shout out my guy, Jay Hill, really quickly, because I do have something for you, Van. We just got a new shipment of booger bands right here.
Oh, wow.
And Van, I got 3 heading your way. I got 3 heading Jay Hill's way. And guess what, man? Oh, they smell like championships right here, baby. So every guest is going to get the booger band treatment. So you're going to be getting one of these bad boys in honor of our dear beloved Boog the dog. So Jay Hill, I'll begin with you after the stream. And our next guest is going to be one of my favorite LSU media members, Blake at Are You Serious Sports. He's going to be joining us next week. So, you know what's interesting, Van? I love LSU football with all my heart, right? And I think about them nonstop, 24/7, 365. I do think, though, the one thing about USC is that there's all these different things in LA. And when I looked at that lame Lincoln Riley opening USC press conference, that was the most cheeks thing I've ever seen in my life. It was just the worst. And LSU is just so different. When you're sharing that with Bill Simmons, who isn't as familiar with college football, he's more used, to the national stuff, the NFL and the NBA. And when you share that with other fans, Do they grasp what college football really is?
Not really.
Really interesting. Yeah. Even if you break it down for them, these people are crazy. We're crazy about this. We think about it 24/7, 365. There's no off season. There's recruiting, the signing period. They still don't get it, right? And I feel as if that's the big divide. Why, the national media can't really fully grasp the concept of college football, and that it's just so unique compared to professional football and just all the other sports.
Yeah, not really. They don't understand. They don't understand that, like, I look at a kid and it says 6'1", 215-pound athlete from Opelousas. Like, I know where that is.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I know where that is. Like, defensive tackle, 6'4", 290 pounds, Captain Shreve. I know where that is. From Ruston, I've been there. From Lake Charles, I've been there. New Iberia, we hunt out there. Like, these people are my people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like these aren't guys that happen to get drafted to go play for a team that I like. These aren't guys that decided it was in their best interest to take a deal with a team that I like. A lot of these kids, the vast majority of these kids are me. Like, they're us.
Right.
Even if they come from out of state, they're attracted to what LSU is. They want to be a part of the culture. They're opting into something, and they're becoming a part of something that lives on. You know what I mean? And so, it's different. It's different, and it'll always be there, right? And it was handed down to me. Like, I went to McKinley. Literally, you can see the lakes from when we were playing baseball. Like, it's right there. It's McKinley, like, we used to go over there and go to the Union when we were in 11th grade and tell girls we were freshmen. And they wouldn't believe us and all of that stuff. It's who we are. It's a part of who we are, and it means more, and it's forever. Like, your NFL team could move. LSU ain't going nowhere. It's not business. It's culture. Culture's first, business is second. Of course, it's about money. Everything is. But that school's been there for 100 years. It's going to be there for as long as we here. So it just means more.
So what are your expectations? And I want everyone in the chat to answer this. Welcome in Jerry. Good to see you, Jared. Desmond, it's good to have Desmond. Shout out to Mama's Fried Chicken. Mama's Fried, I mean, God, OP, baby. God, I love it. Let me ask you this as far as Brian Kelly expectations. I want everyone in the chat to answer this question. You would be disappointed, or let me rephrase it. How many years do you give Brian Kelly to get this team to the college football playoff? I want everyone to give it a numerical number. 2. You say 2. So
not next year, not the year after. So maybe like the year after that.
So 3. So everyone in the chat, give an answer. Jared wants it number 1.
Chill, cool. Next year, Jared. Okay.
I love it. Graylin and BR, what's good, man? Love the avatar change. Here you go, Graylin. Good to see those beautiful smiles right there. Love to see your channel grow. I love it. A lot of people say 3. Trey says year 2. Year 2. So as in, once again, the question is, Brian Kelly should have this team in the college football playoff in 3 years. That seems to be the consensus.
So next year,
there's Jason.
Next year, Miles and them have an amazing season. They win 9 games, something like that. The year after that, Walker starts. Walker comes in and he's really good. He's okay. The year after that, Walker's second year, We slaughter everybody.
I love it. J Hill says that Walker's junior year. So yes, year 3. Jared says 15-0. I love it. Jared says next year 15-0. Let's beat Florida State. Blake says I'll be happy 8-4, 9-3.
Blake, I think 9-3 next year is reasonable.
So let me ask you this, Van. Could LSU become Florida State? You don't think we're going to become Florida State or Nebraska or Miami once the prime program or one of the top 2 or 3 programs? You don't think we'll sink that low?
It's hard now, and I'll tell you why. Is because we have to look at Nebraska and Florida State now. Okay, so let's look at each of those situations and what's happening. As soon as Nebraska's national image was gone, they were kaput because teams like Nebraska, college football was due to pass them up.
Right.
Because as soon as their Tom Osborne and their national reputation kind of fell by the wayside, they didn't have fertile enough recruiting grounds to be able to make up the difference. It used to be, they would go down there and pull a kid from Mississippi, from Louisiana, from all of those places. They're not doing that now. Nobody's going up there. It's a different time in college football. Teams like SC and their arrival really hurt programs like Nebraska. And then if you look at even at Florida State, well, a couple of things happened there at Florida State, right? One thing that happened at Florida State was when Jimbo left, they didn't bring in a strong enough coach, and they couldn't get the recruits out of Florida like they need to. And also, they're in a state where they have to recruit a little bit differently than LSU has to recruit because there's less margin for error because they're recruiting against Miami and Florida and Georgia. And now even Alabama. Remember, Jameis Winston is from Alabama. Okay? With LSU, if you're half competent with what the state has, you should be able to put a team on a field that's always competitive. You should be able to put together a team that's always competitive. Like, even if you miss on the top 3 prospects in the state,
right?
What was Morris Claiborne coming out of Shreveport? Was Morris Claiborne a 3-star?
He's a 3-star. Yep.
So you know what I'm saying? So you look at guys like that, you should always be able to compete. Unless things get really bad, unless Texas A&M becomes Jaws just chomping up everyone. But I really don't see it happening, especially not with a competent guy at the top like Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly, as an average LSU coach, should have LSU in contention every year or every other year.
What did you make of the Brian Kelly dance? And not only the dance, but the accent gate.
Okay, the accent thing sucks, obviously. It's like, whatever, I'm not offended, but I'm like, come on, bro. The dance, we have to put in context. Sure, the dance is whatever. He's dancing next to a 5-star quarterback. So if he's going to dance, if he's just walking down, he's walking next to the Pentagon down there at LSU, or if he's walking whatever, he's doing his thing, that's one thing, right? He's walking by the Cox Center and he's dancing, that's stupid. But if all we have to do is get him to dance to get 5 stars, dance wherever you want. Why don't you go dance for why don't you go dance for Harold Perkins?
Let's do it.
Dance for those guys. Dance for them all. Do whatever you got to do, man. Maybe we should have somebody dance for Landon Collins. Maybe we should have had somebody dance for Devontae Smith. Maybe we should have had somebody dance for all of those guys.
So I wanted to bring this up to you because, look, you have a national voice. Once again, we talked about, celebrities here earlier in the stream. The biggest celebrity LSU fans, John Goodman, right? So, he's probably top 5. Boosie.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to think of anyone else, just like right off the top of my head.
James Carville.
Yeah, okay. Right.
Actually, Russillo.
Russillo, yeah. I would say
Shaq?
Russillo. Well, Shaq, obviously.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I was more so talking about not.
Oh, like now people that didn't go to LSU is what you're saying?
Yeah, like as in people that didn't play. So like Joe Burrow. So someone comment this. All right. Obviously, John Goodman is in the top 5, right? Repping LSU all the time. Fans of LSU that didn't play sports at LSU, right?
Do you know who once stopped me in Beverly Hills and said, "How about LSU?" Vince Vaughn is one. You know who once stopped me? Billy Bob Thornton.
Interesting.
I was walking down Bedford Drive, and Billy Bob's from Arkansas. So I was walking down Bedford Drive, and I had an LSU Tiger shirt on. This was during the Tyrann Mathieu, the season I can talk about, like whatever, like still one of the most amazing seasons of LSU football.
Right.
Besides the gut-wrenching 21-0 loss that I thought we would never recover from.
Come on, man.
I was destroyed. I wanted to fight people. I'm gonna be honest with you. People, like, when I got back to work the next day, people were talking shit, and I let them know, like, I'll punch you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a dude next to me that lived next to me in my house that lived next to me in the apartment complex. It was an Alabama fan. And when he saw me, he was getting on me. I was letting him know, like, I don't know you like that. Like, it's not a game to me. Like, it's like I'm mad about that, and I don't want to play with you. I don't know you like that to be playing with you. Like, I took this very seriously. The game physically hurt to watch. Physically hurt. I was in pain. Anyway, but I'm walking down Bedford Drive, and I hear somebody go, "Man, how about LSU?" And I turn around. I'm like, "Yo, baby, we the," and I'm like, "Oh." I'm like, "Yo," he's like, "Yeah, they're really kicking somebody." I'm like, "Yeah, man, they are. Like they are, bro." I'm like, "I'm a big fan of yours too." He's like, "I love ball. I love to watch ball."
That's
I'm from Arkansas. And I'm like, "All right, bro, that's dope, man. It's nice to meet you." And so Billy Bob Thornton, he saw me wearing my LSU stuff.
Really cool stuff. Let's get to the super chat here. Dadsman, what years were you at LSU? Because I always said we should have crossed paths. I was there from 98 to 01 and worked in BR at Manda in 02 and 03. And that's the thing, Van. I'll let you answer your LSU graduate year because
2003. 2003, Theo Vaughn. Theo Vaughn is true. 2000 to 2003. 2003.
Theo Vaughn, also a lesser-known comedian, but he does rep LSU in the Saints. Mark Normand. Also Tim McGraw. We got a Tim McGraw.
Oh, Tim McGraw's big time. Oh, Jared Leto's from Bossier City. Yeah,
Jared Leto. Okay,
yeah, Jared Leto's from Bossier City. So yeah. There's a couple of other guys like these guys. So HBCUs will kill the Power 5 recruiting. Hey, Sergeant, relax. Not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening either. But go ahead and finish your thought on the celebrity LSU fan, and then we'll touch on this.
A lot of these guys aren't as big and loud as, like, say, a Matthew McConaughey is.
About Texas, right?
And SC is like everything else in LA. People only care when they're on top. You're not going to see Denzel Washington and all of these guys at the SC games when they're playing like they're playing now. They'll wait till they get good again. You know what I mean? So like, they don't have guys like when LSU is on, you're not going to see Matthew McConaughey is a big, huge star. Jared Leto doesn't like go to the games and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it helps McConaughey's A-list celebrity, like A-list celebrity. And that's the thing, Van, people get, twisted about celebrities, right? There is a huge difference between like the A+ list and A-list, as in everyone knows who you are, right? Like I would say probably about half of our viewers had to Google who Jared Leto is. No one has to Google who Matthew McConaughey is.
Right.
It's definitely different. I also want to shout out Jamar Simeon. Jamar Simeon is the one who did this lovely.
That's amazing.
Painting right there and just donated to the channel. Jamar, thank you so much once again. If you need a really, really late Christmas gift, JamarSimeon.com is where you can get some of his great art. I want to get into the HBCU thing. Most of my family went to Howard. Go Bisons. Shout out Kamala. Shout out Chadwick Boseman. Shout out to all the Bisons out there. I think we got a bunch of Jags in here too.
I went to Southern.
Jaguars. Well, yeah. That's why I was saying they were wondering when you graduated from LSU, and I was like, well, no, Van graduated from Southern.
Well,
Tony Seafood.
Well, I had classes at both schools. When I transferred back, there was a program at LSU that Southern didn't have, so I had to be on LSU's campus. For
Okay. Mine's a Jaguar. I think I'll say this about HBCU football, and I shared this. I was doing some ESPN radio stuff on the East Coast. A very underrated story, right? Because because Deion, of course, A-list celebrity, A-list athlete, really cool stuff. But the HBCU movement is not going to take the next step until you actually get more great coaches and more high-profile coaches. And very low key, Hugh Jackson going to Grambling could be something huge. NFL pedigree, a guy who could have taken an NFL assistant job basically anywhere, and he goes to Grambling. Obviously, you're not going to be the most famous coach there. That's going to be Eddie. But you go to Grambling to take over a program, and the expectations are sky high for Hugh Jackson. So that is something to keep in mind. But yeah, I just don't think, obviously the Travis Hunter story is a big story. The number one, for those that don't know, the number one recruit ends up going with Deion to Jackson State. Could I see, let me ask you this, Van. Could you see more high 3-star, middle tier 4 stars going to HBCUs?
Yes. But let me tell you why it's more likely that 5 stars do it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So if you're a 3-star and you go to an HBCU, or 4-star and you go to an HBCU, high 3-star or 4-star, then your star power that you bring to the school doesn't necessarily translate to a gigantic NIL deal, which one reason why I think Deion was able to flip that kid is because of the Barstool NIL stuff.
Right.
And some of the other stuff that, Deion's with Barstool and some of that other stuff that happens like that, right? You'd be able to flip him. But that's the kind of guy that's going to make a gigantic splash because he's a 5-star and he's like a top 10 recruit. If you're a 3-star, Citizen is a 4-star, bordering 5-star, I think. He's a mid 4-star, high 4.
Yeah, he's a top 100 4-star.
Top 100 4-star. Okay. So, but if you're a 3-star, then you need the school to help you a little bit more than you can help the school.
Interesting. You're right about that.
So
I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah. So if you're a 3-star, then what you need to go to a place that has all the best facilities, that has all the best coaches, because you still need some developing. If you're a 5-star, you probably need a little bit less of that. And the NIL money, plus, with Travis, with Hunter, it doesn't matter. He's a cornerback. I don't think there's anybody who can teach him how to play corner better than Deion Sanders. So he's not really losing anything unless you compare the facilities at Jackson State to the facilities at Florida State. But even still, there's going to be a reality show stuff going on at Jackson State. Jackson State's going to be on ESPN every time because of Deion Sanders. Beyond actual having a 24-karat college football experience that you get by going to a huge PWI, he didn't really sacrifice too much, and he made a lot of money. If you're a 3-star, if you're a kid that might need to get a little faster, that might need to put on a little bit more weight, that might need to compete against the best, that might need an A100 nutrition program, strength and conditioning program, all of that coaching, it's not going to make as much sense for you to go to an HBCU or a smaller school when there's so much more at your fingertips at like an LSU or a bigger school.
So a few more for you. Once again, get your questions in now for Van Lathan. Super chats are wide open. We also have a bunch of booger bands. Van, I want to share a little bit more about your story, right? So there's a lot of people that are watching this tonight that aren't familiar with your work. Simper says he's loving you. He would love to have you back on here. Appreciate the love, Simper. So you grew up in Baton Rouge, right? and you take this leap of faith to go to LA. There's some people probably listening to this probably wondering, should I do the same thing? And it doesn't have to necessarily be the media path, but they're on the teetering. They're thinking about, taking a leap of faith. You did it. It paid off dividends. So first off, share a little bit about your story, because it is a pretty crazy story. And for someone listening to this now, what would you say to them about actually doing that certain thing?
Yeah, so great question. So I was there was a movie that came out in 2005, maybe later than 2005. It filmed in 2005. It was called The Reaping. And if you guys ever been to like Perkins Road, so right on Perkins Road where they got that what's the name of that restaurant? Is it Parins right there? Well, like
Yeah.
Perkins Road, right when you come off the interstate. There used to be a Walmart there back in the G. There was a Walmart there that was on Perkins Road. They closed it down. They built a Walmart on College. Anyway, that Walmart they used as a sound stage for this movie. The Walmart was empty, and they would build sets there. They would shoot part of the movie inside there. I was made the stage manager because I'd always worked on a show. I already worked on a show called College Hill. The first season of College Hill, they did it at Southern University. I worked on that show. My second job in TV and film was working as a stage manager on The Reaping. While I was working on that, got to hang out with everyone. I got to hang out with Idris Elba, who played Stringer Bell, who, funnily enough, him and I now have the same manager. That's when we first met in 2005.
Oh, cool. I didn't know.
Yeah. And so like him and Hilary Swank, all of these people, great big Hollywood production, and it's there shooting there in Baton Rouge. Well, while I was working on that show, the hurricane came. So the hurricane came in 2005 while I was working on that show. But me working there, I got a chance to meet a bunch of producers. I got a chance to meet a bunch of people that lived out in Los Angeles. And I was saying to them, I was like, you know what? Like, when all of this is over, like Baton Rouge isn't really the same anymore. Things are just really tough here. I would like to give something else like a try. And there were some things I was writing and some of the producers that I worked with on The Reaping liked. And they were like, well, come out to LA.
Wow.
I was like, what is it? He's like, come on out to LA. Just come on out to LA, see if you like it. So that February, I'd saved up money from the movie. And I was like, I worked at Best Buy before this. And I was going back to Best Buy. And just something felt weird about it. I was thinking to myself, left college. I'm going back to Best Buy. Like, what can I do? Where's my life going to go? I'm 25 at that point. So that February, a friend of mine, Tommy Talley, who's there in Baton Rouge now, him and his family moved back. He had moved out to LA. I told my mom, I was like, I'm going out to Los Angeles. And she was like, how long are you going to stay? It's like, I don't know. She was like, what do you mean? I was like, I don't know. Maybe I'll stay forever. She goes, just like that. I left LA on a Monday. I told people on the Monday I was leaving on a Friday. I left and I never came back. Three boxes of clothes. I went down to New Orleans, loaded up the clothes on an Amtrak train. Took the train 2 days to Los Angeles.
What? But did you have a place? Did you have a place picked out? Did you?
I stayed with Tommy.
Wow.
For the first couple of weeks. I stayed with Tommy for the first couple of weeks.
Wow.
And I ended up getting.
So, what were you doing to survive in LA?
I got a job at a place called Capricorn Programs. It was. Okay. Let me tell you something, Carter. And I don't know how many people are religious. And I'm not going to force religion on people, but I'll tell you how I look at things. Whatever God has for you is for you. The story of how I got to be stable in LA doesn't really make any sense.
Right.
It's not like a one-in-a-lifetime like Kurt Warner bagging groceries to winning the Super Bowl MVP story, but it just doesn't make any sense that things worked out the way that they did. I go there. I'm hanging out with Tommy. Tommy works at a place called Capricorn Programs. I go with Tommy because Tommy was like a – so Capricorn Programs had 3 shows that they did. One show was called Cinema, Cinema, Cinema. The other one was called The Album Show. It was a music show. And then the other one was called Cybernet. Cybernet was a game show. It was a video game show. The day that I got out to California, right, 3 days later, I go into work with Tommy, and he introduces me to everyone. Tommy was making a show called The Album Show. He was producing his own show. That day was the last day that a producer at that place was leaving. That producer's name was Rick. Rick was leaving. So because Rick was leaving, a guy named Mike Price had been promoted to Rick's job. So Mike's job was open. Mike was literally just moving into Rick's office. Okay, he was just moving into his office. And I am there with Tommy, and then Dave literally, the first day I go in with Tommy to hang out with him, Dave literally looks at Tommy and he asked Tommy, he goes, "Yo, does your friend need a job?"
What?
I swear to you. He goes, your friend need a job? And Tommy was like, yeah. Because at that point, I thought I was going to be able to get more PA work. I was going to rip and run, do whatever I had to do. I was thinking about going to try to work at the Best Buy just to get money coming in. And then I had a job. I worked with Tommy at the job for about 2 weeks, saved up enough money to get my own place. I moved out to Van Nuys, and for the first 3 years I lived in LA, I caught the bus everywhere I had to go. Didn't have a car. I was in hog heaven. I was so happy. I was absolutely thrilled to be living in Los Angeles at 25, 26 years old. No car, no females, no nothing. But I was in the place where I felt like I would make it for the rest of my life. And I started as a game taper there. And then I game taped for a little while. I moved up to an editor, then moved up to a producer. Then they gave me my own show. And I started as a producer. 6 years later, I was on TV every day.
And then, TMZ happens and
2011. And then I worked there for 9 years. Yeah.
And then the Kanye West thing. Then, that was your moment. Yeah. And we touched on it a little bit earlier. And you were doing most people, and this is a story for a lot of people that make it and are successful like you are. That one moment wasn't your career, right? There's 1,000 other big things you did at TMZ. It's just, people just know you for that one thing. And, that's helped launchpad your career to now with The Ringer, one of the biggest, not just sports organizations, but just media organizations. It's crazy how that works, man. And you're still doing big things with The Ringer.
Yeah. The Ringer is an ideal situation for me. I'll tell something else to people. Like, put your arms around yourself and really believe in yourself and what it is that you want to do and who it is that you are. I'll tell you why I'm saying that. I'm not giving you fake, like, motivational speaker type deal. The person that I am, I'm wearing a Marvel shirt, right? When I was back in Baton Rouge at home, I was always in the comic books heavily. Joker's Palace on Seagan Lane, used to go there all the time and get the new comic books that were coming out, right? I was super into movies, super into sports.
Right.
And these are things back home that, like, you can't really get a job doing them, at least then. Now you can start a YouTube channel and your expertise can go wherever. But when I was coming up back then, me knowing a lot about comic books didn't really serve me in any way. Me knowing a lot about politics didn't really serve me in any way unless I wanted to go into making those things. I waited my time till I got on TMZ, and then everything that I knew about these things that I had devoted time to, I was able to utilize them just by being myself. And I'll tell you something else, man. That is a Percy Miller, aka Master P jersey in the back. And that jersey was given to me by Percy Miller himself.
Look at you. You don't have to. I was going to wait for someone to bring it up.
That jersey was given to me by Master P. But no, I say that like you go there, and another thing with us, with people where we're from, that's why I want to see more people from South Louisiana get in the media, because what Swagoo has, what Ryan has, what Booger McFarland has,
right,
is that we are straight shooters and we really know our stuff, and we don't speak unless we do. Like all the work that you put into your thing, Carter, you do a very, very measured, entertaining job of giving people the real. I like it when you get a little turned up. I like Mad Carter. I like Carter with Carter's. I like Carter with Carter's. Like, I don't understand why Jaquelin Roy is not getting off the ball. Like I like you pointing out the details and things and saying, I just don't understand. We run the same defense every single time. I like that. It's very authentic, and that authenticity. LA is not a fake place, not to me, but there are people who are trying to say the right thing to get to where they're going. And from Louisiana, we say the us thing.
right.
So I always encourage as many people to come out here and state their claim in media as possible, because I think we're underrepresented.
I agree with that. When I was in LA, I felt that, dude. It was bad. Like, I was there for a week. Coolest thing that happened to me in LA, most underrated comedian on the planet. Got to hang out with him for about 15, 20 minutes. Roy Wood Jr.
Yeah.
God, he's just, to me, the best. Like, he's
Cool
just
as hell.
cool. Even came on my small radio show. I mean, he's just the best. That was the only authentic person I think I actually met when I was in LA.
Just weren't here long enough. They're out here.
Yeah, that's just me being honest.
Yeah.
It just is. It's just I love LA. I do. I could see me and Haley living out there for sure. That just got on my nerves. It really did. Like, I went to the Comedy Store, and when I would meet someone, they would be like, yeah, my name is Chris, and I've opened for Joe Rogan. And one time Kevin Hart jumped on a show that I was like, no, please stop. Kevin Hart dropped in. You didn't open for him at one of his theater shows.
Right.
And I know it's like that in hip hop as well, when people say, oh man, I opened for Boosie. No, you were one of the 10 people that performed at 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Boosie was still en route. Right. He had only lit up his first blunt by then. Right. It's not the same. And that's part of the reason why, you know, I've kind of not just jump right back into the comedy thing, because there is so much of that. And Van, I know look, we talked about the A-list stuff earlier. It's cool. But then again, you know, when you meet an A-lister, I've gotten to be lucky to meet a few. I do have someone in my family that is successful in the movie industry. One day I will share that. Van, it will blow your mind who it is, because I do think it is someone you do adore.
Interesting.
And she's from Louisiana. I'll save that for an episode. I've never shared this. I've never shared, because I didn't want to be like that guy. Like, oh yeah, I'm related to this person. You know,
what city is she from?
What
city is she from? Just give me a hint. What city?
225, baby.
Lynn Whitfield.
How did you know that? How did you know that? How was that your first guess?
Well, I just like.
How did you know that? Huh? We're supposed to say that. I was going to share it one day. Yeah. Lynn.
Yeah, Lynn Whitfield. Yeah, like, so.
That's crazy. Like you see, your pop culture knowledge. I've never shared this. But right. I only part of the reason why I brought it up, because you appreciate that.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, she's a huge big star, and then her family is very Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
The Leo S. Butler Community Center in South Baton Rouge.
How did you know this?
Well, this is what I do. Like the Leo S. Butler Community Center in South Baton Rouge. I think that's her dad or her grandfather, Leo Butler, or something like that.
Yeah. That's my great grandfather. Yeah,
Leo Butler. Yeah, so that is like a. I mean, for me, one of the most important things in my life, because when you got to go get your sickle cell test, or when you got to go to the doctor and you grow up in South Baton Rouge, you got to go to the Leo Butler Community Center. And it's just like a big deal. So she is like Baton Rouge royalty. Yeah.
Yeah. So Lynn, yeah. I was never going to share that because I didn't want to be that person. So she's
if
in
you
Louisiana.
gave me the city, I would. If you gave me the city, I'd know. Like it doesn't matter. Like
you're always going to figure it out. You knew. I knew when I gave you that hint, you were going to figure it out. So Lynn and
you kind of favored him. You look like I'm saying you look like them. Like my
that's my family right there.
Like my mom knew a bunch of them. Like you look like them. You
Gene,
look like
everybody.
Them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you want? I'm gonna put you on some game here. Okay. Sure. So Lynn is obviously ridiculously talented. Thin line between love and hate. Going ahead. Greenleaf. Going ahead.
The Justine Baker story.
Yeah. How did you know this? Justine Baker. Yeah. I saw the poster, even though it's in Baton Rouge. Right. I'm gonna give you something crazy. I'm gonna brag on her a little bit. Her daughter is more talented than she is. She's a singer in New Orleans. She's done Essence Fest. She's still working her way up. She would hate that I'm shouting her out on this, but her name is Grace. She is absolutely fantastic. So people need to go check out her music. But yeah, Lynn is just underrated. And at the same time, Lynn's career would have been a lot different if, Greenleaf and all that stuff. It's different for Black actresses.
Oh, yeah, absolutely not.
It's good to see her have her shine on Greenleaf, and then she was able to go on the Breakfast Club, and she's kind of blown up since then. So shout out to Lynn. Let's see. LA is so fake. I prefer Texas or New Orleans all day over LA. True. Aaron says he went to school with you. Aaron McKenzie.
Oh, wait. All of those guys are like my all of those guys. See all of those guys right there?
Yeah.
Go back to that last comment.
Let's see. I'm still shocked you got Lynn like first guess.
So all of those guys, Ian Spooner, Emmett, all of them people, like all of those guys are some of my closest friends. Ian, I was the best man at Ian's wedding. So cool. Ian and Emmett are brothers. All of those guys. Khalid, Rashadeen, Khalid went to McKinley with me. So yeah, all of those guys are my guys. I'm telling you, it's a small Baton Rouge is either the biggest small town in the world or the smallest big town in the world.
Coolest A-list celebrity you've hung out with is who? Or just a few that people you would think would be interested.
Coolest A-list? Puff.
Puff, really?
Yeah, like Puff made the movie with me. Me and Puff were partners on Two Distant Strangers.
And
so Puff is great. Puff is super cool. Gosh, man, I haven't really met anybody that I would consider to be like not cool. You know what I mean?
Right.
But as far as people that I know that pop up at their crib, like Puff, like Puff is a cool guy, very generous, caring, giving. Hard to get on the phone sometimes, but that's your man. Will just FaceTime you out of the blue. What you doing? Chilling with my family. I need I need to talk to you. It's Puff. Puff is one of them. It's like, but there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that are cool. Lil Duval is very funny and cool to hang out with.
Man,
he's more Charlamagne's friend, but like we were all in Anguilla together. He was like super fun. But like a lot of people, man.
Charlamagne.
You know who's a real good homeboy that's like one of the most solid, down to earth people that I used to talk to. Don Cheadle, great.
Really?
Yeah. I send him my boxing videos. I get boxing tips from him.
So you won the Oscar. Tell what's that like? You're executive producer, and
I'll show you what it's like. Hold on one second.
Yeah. So he's going to show us the Oscar. By the way, this is cool. I never thought I'd be doing a live stream with Van Lathan. He's going to grab his Oscar. And the one thing I really like about Van is he's just like one of us. Like he worked his way to the top, and now he's getting to hang out with all these really cool people. Once again, we do have more booger bands ready to ship out. One for 15, 2 for 20. 3 for 25. Oh my goodness. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Wow. Just sitting in your room in LA. Look at that. Oh my goodness.
Yep. There's my guy.
So first off, tell people where they can consume. Tell people about the film.
So yeah, the film is called Two Distant Strangers. We made the movie in 2020. We won Best Live Action Short Film at the 2021 Oscars. The movie is now available on Netflix. We sold it to Netflix in April of last year. So yeah. Two Distant Strangers, baby. Stars Joey Badass, Zaria, and Andrew Howard. And it just was a labor of love. We had myself as a producer, Nick May as a producer, written and directed by Trayvon Free and Martin Desmond Rowe. We had Kevin Durant as one of our producers. We had Mike Conley as one of our producers. We got money from Adam McKay.
Oh, wow.
Got a chance to show it to Steven Spielberg. It was it was the craziest thing ever. Jesse Williams is one of our producers. Lawrence Bender, real great friends now with Lawrence Bender, who produced Lawrence Bender, who runs A Band Apart Productions, who produced Pulp Fiction. He produced all of Quentin Tarantino's movies up to Inglourious Bastards, produced Fresh, Convenient Truth. So it was a really, really transformative experience in my life to have made the movie. And Puff was one of our producers as well.
Did you cry? Did you cry when you got it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. When Oscar, somebody said, we couldn't all go, only Trayvon and Mark could go. But somebody standing on the Oscar stage going, Van Lathan, you're like, just come on, man. This is the stuff that, when I'm back home in BR at McKinley High, this is the stuff that, that you're in, that you're into. It's it's crazy. And now what it does to you, right? What it does to you is it just, number one, it lets you know that it is possible, and then it just makes you want to push and kind of do more stuff. People don't know this. Steven Soderbergh is from Baton Rouge. Steven Soderbergh went to U High.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's it's like sometimes the things that we don't grab them because we don't believe that we have a long enough reach. And sometimes you just need to know that you can, and then that kind of puts you on to kind of do more stuff. So it was a big moment for us.
Let's go. Happy holidays. Everyone's just hanging out on Christmas Eve. It's Eve to Christmas Eve. Well, Van, we appreciate you, man. I will say this. Thank you for all the donations, and I appreciate you. It's cool that our first two guests are people that actually like the channel, like Jay Hill, and then obviously you. A few parting thoughts here on your thoughts as we move forward as LSU football fans. Are there any thoughts about the program that you would like to share as far as just anything is concerned?
Yeah, I do want to share something. I want to say something that I think a lot of people say, but sometimes don't really mean. I'll take a sip of water before I say it.
Go right ahead.
I want to thank Coach Orgeron, and I sincerely want to thank him. Coach Orgeron was probably a little bit too much of one of us to have sustained success. Likes to party, live it up a little bit too much. Maybe not as attention to detail oriented as we need him to be. But what I will say is, for the time that Coach O was at LSU, he served so many different roles, man. He served roles as a motivator, roles as a recruiter. He was the de facto mascot at times. And all of those things need to come together. I don't know if 2019 was possible with any other coach. And even though the last couple of years have been painful and hard to watch, I don't want Coach Orgeron or anybody from the staff, and that includes Derek Pomansky, who has always been an amazing, amazing friend to me.
He takes a lot of heat too.
He does take a lot of heat. I love Derek. He takes a lot of heat, but I love Derek. I don't want any of those guys to think that nobody appreciates what it was that they were able to accomplish, because no matter what happens from here on out, they did something that 0.1% of college football is going to be able to say that they ever did. You know, and to be honest with you, in 10 years from now, 15 years from now, when Orgeron visits LSU, there's going to be nothing but cheers, nothing but adulation, nothing but hugs and pats on the back. So I want to thank him. And then I also want to say, we back, baby.
Let's go.
I'll say we back. We back. We back. I am 100% down. I'm on the Brian Kelly bandwagon. We are back, baby.
Let's go.
Woo! We're back.
Let's go. I love it, man. Positive vibes. So I'll say this, okay? I really do appreciate Coach O. I reiterate all those things. I know I've been very critical of him, and I was critical of him this offseason. And Van, you know this just from watching the channel. I saw a lot of what happened last year, and it made me very worried. He wasn't the same person after 2019. We all know that. But I really do appreciate what Coach O and DPOM and all those guys were able to accomplish, right? You can never underrate that Coach O saw the Joe Brady thing. It wasn't the easiest thing in the world to say, we've got to spread it out and do what we need to do offensively. It's not. You know, that goes against who Coach O is as a person when it comes to, you know, his run the ball, play good defense. It's tough to go away from that. So I do give Coach O a lot of credit. I reiterate and agree with everything that you say. Some people thought that I was a Coach O hater. Van, you know me pretty well personally. I like him. I do. I love the man. He took us to another place. But, you know, you have to be fair about what happened after, and that's why we are here where we are now. And, you know, there's so much on the head coach to keep everything in point, and, you know, it's tough, right? Yeah. So shout out to the binder, baby, and the LSU helmet. Absolutely. Make sure you check out Higher Learning. That is Van Lathan's podcast with Rachel Lindsay. They talk anything and everything. Pretty much, y'all talk about everything. Like y'all talked about the crab stuff was just wild to me. It's a great show. My girlfriend loves it. And I love it. So Higher Learning on the Ringer Podcast Network. Yeah. The next goal for Van is to have Rihanna on the show with us. That's we'll see. That's just goals. That's goals, man. We appreciate you, man. What's and the Ringer, and make sure you check out Two Distant Strangers and give it 5 stars on Netflix. We wish everyone a Merry Christmas. Our next guest will be Blake, Are You Serious Sports, Blake Ruffino, our good friend, and we'll talk to you soon. Well, I'll let Jay Hill. I'll let you just drop a let's go. Give me your best let's go.
It is Power Hour LSU. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. Boom. New Booger Bands hit me up. Let's go.